The next question is, my friend gave me some magic mushrooms tea for microdosing. It has been in my cabinet for 2 months. While I am on board with this idea of trying mushrooms, I'm nervous how it will make me feel and how I will function. I cannot be checked out during the day. I also don't really want to tell my husband I have it. I feel weird just having a cup of this tea on a Tuesday afternoon while working from home, or having a cup on Friday before we go to dinner. I also fear the idea that if it goes well, then I'm going to want to have it more and create a habit. Wow. Okay. Lots of good stuff here. Microdosing mushrooms. Look, every state has every guidelines. Some states it's legal to grow them, to sell them, to give them. Some states it's not. So I am just answering the question. Please, I've got more information in the Psychedelic Resource Guide online at bethbell.me, but I'm going to answer specifically to this question, knowing that you, the viewer, will still make your decisions based on your research. First of all, you're nervous. You're nervous about how it's going to make you feel. Well, you don't know how it's going to make you feel until you try it. So I would say that, number one. Number two, I would also be really clear about where you received the microdosing from, and is it a trusted source? It sounds like you got it from a good friend, so there's probably nothing to worry about there. But asking some questions like, what's in it? What's the right dose? Like, what is microdosing? So you want to make sure you're microdosing, not museum dosing and not macrodosing, right? Because that'll be a completely different experience. And then you also mention, I don't want to be checked out during the day. You're not going to be checked out. If you're microdosing, you don't even know that you've taken it. So that's kind of an interesting, I think there's just maybe a little bit of a gap in you doing a little bit more research on it so that you can feel comfortable, because you're not, if you're microdosing, you're not necessarily going to feel it. You're just going to feel a little bit of an elevation. I'm going to make an analogy to coffee in just a minute, but I want to answer the rest of this first. So I didn't tell my husband I have it. Well, why not? I mean, that's something right there to dig into. Why would you not tell your husband you have it? Is there something that you're feeling is shameful about it? I mean, like if you had coffee grinds in your cabinet, would you not tell your husband? I don't know. There's just something there that I think you got to dig into. And I feel weird just having a cup of tea on a Tuesday afternoon while working. Yeah, I think, again, the best time to take a microdose is in the morning when your gut is empty, because the whole point of it is that you want to use the gut to have an impact on your brain chemistry. And the same thing for coffee or caffeine. It goes into your gut and it has an impact on your brain chemistry. And there's a huge difference if you have an empty stomach on coffee or you have a full stomach on coffee. It's not a one-to-one analogy, but I'm going to start using coffee because I think people are like way overthinking microdosing. I just posted on LinkedIn this great article on mom's microdosing. And so it's not a new thing. It's not like only a few people are doing it. It's like a lot of people are doing it. And I'm not saying you should do it because everybody's doing it. I'm saying that I think you just need to do a little bit more reading on it, because it's kind of in the realm of coffee drinking. In fact, let's see if I can find this book. I think I have it right here. If you haven't already read Michael Pollan's book, This Is Your Mind on Plants, he very much talks about coffee. And that's why there's a coffee bean on the cover here, right? He talks about poppy seeds, and he talks about San Pedro cactus. So he talks about coffee and talks about how addictive it is, right? So I think your last part of the question was mentioning, that you also fear the idea that if it goes well, then I'm going to want to have, an everyday habit. Well, we do that with coffee all the time. Now, with that said, microdosing is very much recommended to do 3 days on and 2 days off, because probably the worst thing that's going to happen if you're microdosing every single day is that you're not going to actually feel it. So it's not like you're going to want to do more and more and more and more and more. That's not, if you're microdosing, right? You're just not going to have as enhanced effects. The beauty of it is that it is softer than coffee. It's easier on your digestive system. In fact, I'm going to look after the show if there's any brain specialist that can give some kind of side-by-side. I don't think there's any clinical data. If there is and someone knows, please tell me. But a side-by-side on the effects on the brain and brain chemistry with coffee versus microdosing mushrooms, because it's actually a really, I think, beautiful way to get a little lift and just quiet the mind and calm ourselves, but also just have a little bit happier day. And it's more effective in so many ways than coffee, in my opinion. But let's see what kind of data there might be out there. And if I find it, I'll put it in the comments below. So hopefully that's helpful. Yeah. Microdosing is a beautiful thing. I think that it's really, really helpful for us to be in touch with nature, and psilocybin mushrooms definitely can help us do that. So if you have any more questions, please put them in the chat. And as I mentioned before, the psychedelic resource guide is available on bethbell.me. All right, it's been so much fun with you guys today. If you've liked anything from it, please subscribe, hit the bell, like the videos. It's so helpful in the algorithm. Go to bethbell.me. There's so many more resources. I'm launching a bunch of new stuff. If you haven't already seen it, please check it out, bethbell.me. I look forward to seeing you next week at 11:11 Pacific time on Sundays. All right, enjoy the week.